friends. I'm Tabby.
And I'm Caitlin, and today our first book of 2024 is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
We are so excited to be doing Fourth Wing. It has been an internet sensation since last year. It's taken book talk by storm. The it girl of 2024. We're stoked.
ITGIRL.
It is that girl.
So we're going to start by reading the description off of Goodreads. 20-year-old Violet Sorrengail was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now, the commanding general, also known as her toughest Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre, dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond to fragile humans, they incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter, like Xaden Ryerson, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly, the kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at Basquiat War College has an agenda, because once you enter, there are only two ways out: graduate or die.
Do you think they have like a normal college for not war, or is that like the only option?
I think that's the only option is like that, or you go to the front lines. That's
Slay.
literally it.
Or
So,
becoming a healer or a scribe.
but
Yeah,
that's still the War College.
yeah.
It's all the same. There's just different like majors, for lack of a better
Yeah.
word.
Interesting.
It is.
Okay.
It's kind of a refreshing one. So,
Love
what
it.
would you rate this book?
So, I just choked on my own spit. I give it a 9.32 out of 10 because I did think it was a really refreshing story. It
Hmm.
was, a new type of characters. Dragons are cool as shit. I love that. It brought me back to like my Aragon days. I thought that was
Yes.
amazing. There were some aspects of like the actual like writing that they didn't vibe with me, but overall I thought it was a really, really good original story.
Yeah, I agree. So this is actually my second time reading it. This time I
Same.
would rate it a 9.5 out of 10 because there's a lot that I really loved about this book. I will say the second time reading it, I actually enjoyed it more than the first time. And I think a large part of the reason why is because the first time I actually listened to it on Audible, and the audiobook is just not my preference for this particular novel.
Listen, I've got a bone to pick with the Audible version of this book.
It's kind of rough. And
It's
I
rough.
I know why the end of the book was not it for me the first time because like
Little surfer
she
boy Zayden, like out here in the I
dude,
hated it.
it was awful. Like, and it was just so annoying, like when they're in battle, like the whisper yelling, like because they're in battle. So she's like trying to show that they're yelling to each other. Yeah, it was rough. Like it was embarrassing me. So
Well, and she had fucking like a cold or something at the beginning of it, and it's just constantly you just hear anyway.
yeah, so I think that made me not
Disgusting.
like it less the first time I read it. But it's a good book. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, the second read through was really, really good. And I picked up on like a lot of things that I didn't initially pick up on.
That
So
always
that was
happens
really
with
cool.
fantasy novels,
So
so
there's so much world building, and especially with this one, because it's like you're touching kingdoms within Navarre that like they don't even talk about. Like they briefly mention, and you're like,
hmm.
what's that?
You get so much of it thrown at you at the end as well and quickly. And so the first time that, again, I was listening to it, I was already kind of annoyed with how it sounded. And so I just really was missing out on that the first time I read it. The other thing I really liked about reading the print version is that it has a map. at the front of the book, and I was flipping back and forth like crazy. So that really helped me with my second read through as well.
So before we get started, I do think really quick, just doing a breakdown of the hierarchy of the writer's quadrant, because that was something I was extremely confused about while I was reading. So they have, first wing, second wing, third wing, and fourth wing. So within each wing, there's a claw, flame, and a tail section. But within each section, there's 3 squads. And so you have a wing leader, so that's what Xaden is, but then you have like a squad, not even a squad leader, you have a section leader, but within the sections, you have 3 squad leaders.
Okay, that makes more sense. I'm not sure I ever fully grasped that concept.
No, I didn't either. And so like Dane is a squad leader in Flame section. He's in like second squad. Xaden oversees all of it. And then I'm pretty sure Bodhi or Garrick, I can't remember, was like one of the like section leaders.
Garrick was either a section leader or a wing leader.
Garrick was the section leader of the Flame section, and then in Flame section was second squad.
Okay.
Which Dane was squad leader, and they were all in second squad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That does help break it down for me, because obviously it's like if the word leader is there, they're somewhat in charge of someone, but that helps you to know between the squad leader, section leader, wing leader. And
because they kept saying
wing leader's
fourth
highest.
Wing, Flame section, second squad, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. And that is too much for me.
Where?
I would be like, you're gonna just have to list my name if you want me to show up somewhere.
I don't know where I am right now.
Like, be so fucking for real. Let's talk about the characters. Let's start with Violet, our main girl.
Oh, our little paper skin, glass bones baby girl.
Yeah. I don't know if Rebecca Yarros has ever made an official comment, but the consensus, from what I understand, is that Violet has how the fuck do you say it?
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Yeah. Which is like it's a disorder where your connective tissues are like weakened, and like they're very flexible because they're, the joints and stuff are like weaker than they should be. We're gonna spin
this somehow to be the chosen one, and like her joints do have something to do with this.
Well, yeah. Hey, those of you with this particular condition, how does it feel to be God's favorite? You too can
be a hero.
I think that is just kind of a good, like,
inclusive, like very inclusive.
Yeah, because like it's seen as Violet's weakness throughout the book, obviously, because physically she has some physical like weaknesses compared to the other writers, but it doesn't stop her, obviously, from being the most powerful writer of like her generation. So it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. I have just I've been seeing so many like not even about Fourth Wing, but it's just like authors who make like their main female character like 90 pounds soaking wet, can barely like get up through the day type thing, but they also are like the baddest bitch you've ever met.
Yeah, which in Miss Yarros's defense, Violet does get her ass handed to her a lot.
Does.
Like she doesn't act like somehow magically she's still strong. I think that's the one
like redeeming thing of that, is that like no, she knows she sucks too.
It's like,
she's like, I'm surprised I'm alive still.
Right. Like if you're going to give her this condition and say like her joints be brittle, her bones be brittle, like you better freaking act like it. And she does.
She does. She knows where she is. I do think she's really funny. She's very, very funny. I loved her inner monologue, but that girl dumb. Yeah. She does some dumb shit in this book.
Especially at the end.
We are making some poor decisions.
It was frustrating to me at the end when she's feeling all betrayed and stuff, and she's literally just like talking out loud. She's like, so what? You just expect me to believe blah, blah, blah? And everyone just kind of stares at her and she's like, oh, yeah, that is what they expect me to believe. Like she's literally just like reasoning through it out loud.
It's like, hey, do this in your head, maybe.
Yes, it's so embarrassing.
Like, stop talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and it's just like her constantly like questioning herself, and it's something that we all would do, and I think
Hmm.
that's why it's so annoying.
Yeah.
But it's just like, will
Because you're
we,
like, I don't
won't
want that to
we,
be
like,
my fantasy. Like my when I'm reading, I don't want to feel like I'm just inside my own head, you know?
yeah. She's like, am I reading this situation wrong? Does he like me? Doesn't he? Am I feeling betrayed right now? And I'm like, yeah, you probably are, but like, fuck, do
But
something else.
she didn't even like take a second to like, oh God. Listen, I do really like her character, but she was very annoying at times.
Yes. But like I said, she's also very relatable, which I did like, and very funny. I love a good internal monologue.
And she's got a
Um,
great one.
and she's got a really good one.
Yeah. I do love that she like studies, like recalls history to calm herself down because she's
That
like
is
in a
funny.
literal life-threatening situation and she's like
She's like, I'm just
back
gonna
200 years
disassociate
ago.
for just a second.
Yeah, she's honestly hilarious. Zayden, our main male character, I will say I am a sucker for an emotionally unavailable shadow man, and he is that.
I have a very unpopular opinion when
That
it
is totally
comes to
fine. Share
Zayden.
it. Share it.
I don't like him. I think they're very toxic.
They are, well,
They're
yes.
not good for each other. Like, do they probably have like a really good like chemistry? For sure. Like, you
Mhm.
can't deny that.
Yes.
But I think they both just have some stuff they probably need to work through. And he's also a liar. He like lied a lot. And
Yeah.
it was for a good reason. It was for a
Well,
good reason.
yeah. I'm
But
not mad at him for that, but I
I
do
do think there's like
understand.
some other things like not relating to that he's probably also like not being very truthful about. And I do think that stems back to like the whole like trust thing, but I don't know. He's just shady to me.
Yeah. Well, he's literally shady.
He's literally shady.
Yeah. So I don't hold that against him. I don't know. I agree with you. I do think he's shady. But that doesn't bother me.
I don't know. I'm just like, when's the other shoe gonna drop here?
Yeah. For some reason, like, I don't know, I'm not scared. And I haven't read Iron Flame yet, actually. Fun fact. So
Oh,
I could end up eating my own hat
I
and
mean,
being like, he sucks ass. I don't know.
Iron Flame didn't really change that uh decision for me at all. I still
Okay.
stand by that.
Yeah,
And
that's totally fine.
it's just like, I don't know, I refuse to invest in the first love interest because I'm scarred by Sarah J. Maas.
Sarah.
Um,
Yeah.
and like Rebecca Yarros even said this is going to be like a 6 book series. So I'm just going to see what happens. I'm here for the ride. I'm
Yeah,
not
you don't want to get
necessarily
attached.
investing in any of
Well,
these characters.
as much as I'm saying like his character, like it doesn't bother me that he's shady, I will say their relationship, I agree,
It's not
is
good.
not healthy. It's weird. And I actually have some comments about it when we discuss the things we didn't love about this book.
Okay, okay, okay. The dragons.
Yeah, let's kind of talk
Love
about
the
like our
dragons.
main dragons. Um,
Yeah,
so
you pronounce them. You
yeah,
do. You go
listen.
first.
So there was a little bit of a situation, and we'll tell you later where you can look on TikTok for pronunciations. But some of the dragon names are legitimately Scottish Gaelic words, and so they have an actual correct pronunciation. Some of them are not. Some of them are just loosely inspired, and so we can pronounce them however Rebecca Yarros wants them pronounced. But Tarn, that's Violet's big dragon. I almost said big black dragon, but I didn't like how that sounded. But
I don't like that.
then I just said it again. So
It was
that's
too
Violet's.
close to like a Cards
I
Against
literally
Humanity.
know.
Yes, yeah.
That's Violet's big dragon. I'm gonna leave that in. His name is Tarnyanak, which I'm still probably saying wrong, but it's Tarn for short. And then Andarna, oh my God.
Andarna.
Her full name, I don't even think I could pronounce if I tried. There's like a little bit of an R sound that I can't do very well at the end of it.
But you can
Um,
watch this video and she does it way better than we ever could.
yeah, we'll give that to you at the end. And then there's
Excuse me.
Sorrengail, which is not a real
It's like
Gaelic
a
word,
take on a
apparently.
Gallic word, scow.
Yeah. So you
Which
could say
is
it closer to that.
yeah.
But the audiobook unfortunately says
Sorrengail.
Sorrengail, which is annoying to me
It's
because
very phonetic.
yeah, I think why I'm bothered is because the spelling is SG. So I'm like, so why are we putting like there's a vowel
Sorrengail.
there? Like, we're
Yeah.
adding a syllable where I don't think there should be one. It's fine.
Whatever she wants to do.
I will say, like, all, their names aside or whatever, I love their dynamic
Oh my gosh.
a lot. I love that Tarn is super grumpy. He's like a big grumpy dad to Aunt Darna, and they just truly give me the warm fuzzies. They're like a little cute family. I
Like,
do hope we get more of Gail's personality though, because I don't really feel like I
yeah,
know that
she's
one.
like a very, very minor character.
Hmm.
But let me tell you just the absolute glee that went through my body whenever they talked for the first time. I was like, they talk
Yes, that was
and
so
they're
exciting to
funny.
me. They are funny. I mean, yeah, they lived like hundreds of years at this point. Well,
It
like
was just like,
150.
it was one of those things in the book where I don't know if you ever had this happen. Like, you get to a point in the book and you're just like, I need something more to happen.
Hmm.
And so they finally bond with these dragons. And I'm like, okay, like we're moving kind of slow at this point.
Yeah.
But then they start talking. And then like you get like this whole other like dimension of relationship in the book.
Yes.
And like that's really what did it for me. Like,
Kept it going.
yes, like I now had like these other two characters that I loved and cared about, like mixed
Yes.
into it.
And they're good. They're very good characters. Like you are very invested in them.
Yes.
Honestly, right away. Like the dynamic right away is very interesting and yeah, they capture your
Yeah.
attention right away.
Because yeah, Tarn's just like, I chose you, don't ask questions, but I need you to live up to like my legacy here.
Yeah. And then whenever like he's basically telling her like we have to put on a show and then like keeps her on his back when all of the other dragons, if their rider falls off, they fall to their death. And so there's
Yeah.
already like an immediate relationship there, which
Which
is
is very
good.
interesting and something that I do want to talk about later because like why is Tarn so invested
Yeah.
in her? Like what is it about her that besides the fact that she saved Indarna?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, because he says that's why, but like,
but it's like, is it really? Because dragons, I don't know, based off of what we read, like dragons just aren't like that.
hmm.
But he is just a big old cinnamon roll, like with
Yes.
the allowing her to have
And also
like
a
a
killing machine.
saddle, and he's a killing machine. He protects his own.
Yes. Yeah. He's basically dad.
I love him.
I also love him. And I do think like what you were saying about it's so nice where the book picks up right there because at that point I was kind of feeling like what else could possibly happen and I still have like 300 pages to read. So I was
Yes.
really grateful because like we both kind of share the opinion that this book may like it could have probably been shorter and still been
We could have
the
cut some
same
stuff
thing.
out
Yeah.
and it would have been effective, but I still think it was great.
I agree.
Let's talk about Dane.
Let's
Let's talk about this man, this boy, this little stinker,
a little stinker. I
this little
hate him.
stinker.
He definitely gets on my nerves. He's obviously supposed to, but
He
it's
just
just,
gave me like icky vibes right from the
yeah.
start.
Like the hard on for the rule book is like too much for me.
It was also more just like, why are you here? Like, first he's like, why are we here? And you're like, this is why I'm here. Okay, how are we getting you out? I'm like, no, I'm already here. He's like, no, we've got to get you out though. And at
The
first I
fact
was
that
like,
he did
okay,
not relent.
like
Yeah.
he just really cares, I guess. But then it got to the point where it's like, hey man, there's nothing we can do at this point. Like,
Yeah.
get over it.
Like literally once she was already like she bonded to two dragons and he was like, "Okay, you have to pick the little one because you won't be able to fly into battle and you can just hide at the college." And it's like,
And it's like, well, that's not really an option. And we both know it. And then it's like
yeah.
2 weeks in, he's like, don't worry, I talked to somebody on your behalf and we can sneak you through the hallway, like through a back door
Just like
here.
we wanted.
No one's gonna know.
Yeah, I
And she's
hate
like, yeah,
him.
no, I'm good. Yeah. And then it's just like, like you said, just the rule following to the point where you're betraying your friends. Like
Yeah. And then just like the disbelief that people in
someone,
charge lie to him. He's like,
yes,
but that's not possible. That's not how things are done. It's like,
like
hey
fucking
man,
grow up.
not everyone follows the rules. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, he
Like this
pisses
is
me off.
real life, dude. And I
Yeah.
wonder if it's just because like his dad is
Quite
Lilith's
literally
like
war.
bitch. Like
Yes. I think it is. Yeah.
so he's always just saw him like following the rules.
Yeah.
Um, which his dad is also a little bitch.
Bitch ass hoe.
Bitch ass
Who
hoe.
also betrays people
Yeah, you shouldn't have any friends.
for
Um,
blind like patriotism.
I think the moment I truly hated him, and it's even before like the whole thing where we find out like he's been potentially reading her mind this whole time.
Hmm.
Like just whenever, Violet gets attacked in her bedroom and it's Amber, is that her name? Who
Yes.
like is
Amber
spear
Mavis.
Amber Mavis, who is spearheading this whole operation. And he's just like, you're a fucking liar. She
Yeah.
didn't do that. And it's like, she literally could have died like 8 different ways. And Amber's like, yep, no, I didn't do it. He's like, see, she said she did it. And it's like, well, why are we just like believing this lady
Yeah.
over
Because he's a prick.
anybody else?
Yeah. And then the other thing that's really annoying is like whenever he rejects Violet just because of the rules. Because Violet's like, oh, yes, we're on the same page. Like, we should just be friends. And he's like, no, like, we just can't break the rules. And she's like,
And she's
oh.
like, ew.
She's like, well, that really kind of cools
She
my
got
engines.
she got the ick from that.
I mean, he is the ick. Your hotness can only go so far.
She's like, how
Like,
about you fucking live a little?
oh my God, he's got like a comb over. I just know it.
He's gonna be bald soon. Man, just really disappointing. But you know what? I love a good redemption arc. I do truly hope.
Yes, I hope I hope
Maybe we're wrong.
well, I don't think we're wrong as of right now,
No,
but
we're
what
not
I
wrong.
think would be cool is like if he learns that his dad is like kind of a piece of shit and has been like lying to him for the sake of just being an asshole. And then he kind of like turns and then like joins the rebellion to kind of stick it to his dad. I think that would be a good arc for him. But then we've got Rhiannon, who we
You
do
know
love.
what? A ride or die,
Yeah, literally.
a bestie. I
She
love their whole interaction from start to finish.
Yeah, like from the get-go, like when they trade the boots on the parapet and like immediately as soon as Violet finishes crossing, like she finds her and I
That's a
also
lifelong bond.
it is and what's so like I think it's hard for Violet at first because Mira like tells her right away like don't seek friendships, but Violet is like, "You know what? No, like this is my friend. She is trustworthy and she has my back." And then like immediately they trust each other to like help each other out.
I will say, just with the way the book started, with like just immediately killing people off, like
Yeah.
no
Dylan,
hesitation. Yeah, like we're like, oh, Dylan's gonna be a cool dude, and then he dies like 2 pages later.
that did kind of
And
shake me to my
I'm like,
core.
yeah, so I'm just waiting for this girl to like stab her in the rib cage or something,
I
like at
was
any
worried.
any point.
Well, that's kind of good writing though, because I'm sure
I was
Violet
on
was
pins
thinking
and
the same
needles.
thing, but it turns out no, she's actually just a true bestie.
Like, I don't know at what point I was like, I also trust her, but like it took a little bit of time. I was like,
Yeah.
no.
I think when it really like sinks in is when they're at Montserrat and
They go see
Rhea's
her
like, I'm gonna go
family.
see my family, like, and Violet's like, well, obviously, I'm not gonna let you go alone. Yeah.
I might cry on this next part. I'm not sure yet. Liam's death hit me pretty hard. And you're right. It was worse the second time because like there were so many things happening during like that final battle
Yeah.
that like I was confused and disoriented, which again is really good writing because everyone
Hmm.
else was really like confused and disoriented.
For sure.
And like all of a sudden Liam's dying in her arms and I'm like, Oh my God, it's happening again.
Yeah, because the first time, like during the War Games thing, when Jack stabs him, you're like, oh my God, this is it. And then she
And then he
saves him.
lives.
So you're like, oh, th like, shoo, we really dodged a
Surely she's
bullet
not
there.
gonna kill him off again. Like,
It really sucks because, I mean, he gets built up as such a good friend and a
I
genuinely
thought
good person.
him and Jacinia were in it for the long haul,
Yeah,
and
yeah, that shit hurted.
that was
I was
terrible.
just listening when I was listening to the audiobook, just driving down the highway, like sobbing. Like, I was like, maybe I'm gonna have to pull over because my vision's getting a little
I had
blurry.
to go sit down because I was cleaning and I had to go sit down.
Yeah, like my heart started to hurt, and I was like, call 911. Like,
I'm dying of a broken heart.
yeah, like this is it for me.
Well, and it was more just like his final like interaction with her because they were fighting and that was so sad. And basically she had questioned like were they, even friends all along? And so when is laying like dying in her arms and he's like, "We are friends." And she's like, "We were always friends." And he's like, "Well, it was my honor to be
It
your
was my
friend."
honor. Whew. You
I
know,
sobbed.
this hurts just as much as Dom.
Yeah, or like Lahaba.
Oh.
Yeah, like this is one of my top three.
I
You
blocked
know
that
what?
out. I
I've
repressed that
actually
trauma.
still never cried as hard as when Dom died, and I don't think I ever will. That
This one
scarred
was
me
close for
for
me.
life.
Yeah, because that one was also just kind of like unexpected in the midst of
And it was
chaos.
like just such a strong like ending to a death. Like it was my honor. Like, oh my God. No, it was
And it's
fucking my
like,
honor to read this book.
I
Swear to
know
God.
it was my honor to know you, you fictional
I
character.
love you.
That
And
was
like
a rough
all he
one.
wanted to do was just whittle his little wooden dragons
Oh my
and
God. Whenever Xaden hands Violet the whittled statue of Andarna. And then also the thing that fucking killed me and is when he was like he knew he was dying and he was like, you have to take care of my sister at Parapet.
it's like ah.
Hello? Like, first
Well,
of
and
all,
it's
I'm
just
worried. How are they even gonna get to her? Because like they're in a full-on rebellion now.
yeah, it's so sad. And like he was forced into this, like they all were, but I don't know, for some reason his just hits a little different because it's like he is such a gentle like soul
Yeah.
who was, basically molded into like a warrior
Yeah.
and
Against his will.
against his
Yeah.
will, like
I mean, again,
all
yeah, they all were, but
just trying to survive.
it freaking
And
sucks.
yeah, he didn't deserve that.
Kind of wish you wouldn't
I
have done that, Rebecca.
Hey Rebecca, can you take it back?
Yeah, can you be like, you know how Brendan's actually alive? So is Liam.
So that'd be really, really cool.
Yeah. Um,
It'd
speaking
make
of
a great
Brennan,
gift for Christmas.
so speaking of Brennan, that motherfucker is alive.
That
Um,
motherfucker, dude.
but I thought that was such a good reveal. Like the first time I read it, I really truly was not expecting that.
No.
It,
And now I question everything.
yeah, like I am not surprised now, like my second read through, obviously, like I already knew it. I can kind of see like the hints and the foreshadowing, but it was subtle enough the first time that I didn't see it coming. So I thought that was really good.
Well, and I think that's something just really interesting about like the books I've read by Rebecca Yarros so far in this series is that you don't catch anything the first time.
Mm-mm.
Like you have to do a second read through, and it's just so you can learn like her writing style because she does give hints and she does put Easter eggs in
Yes.
there, and it is glaringly obvious by the time you get to the end. But
Yeah.
you are never going to know what the Easter eggs are until that last 50 pages of the book.
Yeah, which is really, really cool.
And
I
I think that's
enjoy that a lot.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
because
hate
then
knowing what's going to happen.
I know, me too. And the other thing is I think that gives such like rereadability to a book
Yeah.
and it just makes it really good. And I do think Brennan's character is going to be interesting. I'm excited to learn more about him in Iron Flame, but I have not read it yet.
Yeah, it was just a really, really good cliffhanger. I liked Mira a lot. She kind of scared me a little bit. I think she is I think she's going to be a really interesting character too, because you can tell she was very clearly like molded by her mother, but
Mhm.
wants to defy her like at any given
Yes.
moment.
Yeah, so she's gonna join the rebellion eventually. I mean,
And,
as soon as she finds out Brennan is alive, she is joining up with him for sure.
but I did really like the dynamic between her sister and her mom. I
Hmm.
thought that was, I thought that was very telling
Yeah, because
for,
like you said, they are so similar, but they definitely don't see eye to eye. So, yeah, interesting dynamic. And what's really sweet about the three of the siblings is, I mean, from what we know of Brennan in this book, it's clear that they all have so much love and
yeah,
loyalty for each other. Even though there does seem to be quite an age gap between Mira and the other two, or sorry, Violet and the
Violet
other
and the other
two. She
two.
seems quite a bit younger. Um, they're still close. It seems like they
Yeah,
were still very close. So I like
love
that.
that. Love that. Lilith is a piece of work, I'll tell you that much. I like her aggressive parenting style, me personally. Um,
Yeah, I think, yeah, parents should take notes. You should definitely, um, especially if you are a war general, you should force your children to join the ranks of
don't
the
even
military.
give
And
them an
then,
option.
yeah, and then just pretend you don't know them while they're training. I think that's really,
I feel
um,
like deep down
wonderful.
she is actually like obsessed with her children, and we just, I don't know.
I'm
Like,
sure, but she's got a fucked up way of showing it.
yeah, she's just not a very good mother. I don't know.
No, I'm sure that she loves them so, so much, but she is just kind of a piece of shit.
But she's like, you got to prove your worth before I can fully love you. And I do think like the death of her father played a big role in that too, because they said like she was a caring mother before he died. And
Hmm.
so I think she really just truly, truly loved her husband. And when he died, like a piece of her also died.
And Violet
And
is so much like her father as well.
and I think Violet's the only one that can kind of see that softness in her mother. And
Hmm.
that's why when she forces her to join it, like it kind of breaks her a little bit because she's like,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know my mom.
I also wonder, like, we don't have a whole lot of the information of like Violet's childhood, but we know, like you said, that her mom did used to be softer and more gentle when her father was alive. And because Violet was, physically she was weak and she was so much like her love, like the love of her life, her husband. I feel like it just hurts once he's
Yeah.
gone. It hurts to even probably
Look at
look at
her.
Violet.
Yeah.
Like she's probably like, I don't know what to do with you because
Right.
I'm not the right parent for you. Like she probably feels like she can't successfully love Violet the way that her dad did. Which speaking
Which is
of,
really
we
sad.
don't know her dad's name.
It's father.
Father.
Sorry, I'm trying to grab
Papa
something.
Sorrengail.
It's very much like Akatar, where we actually never learned her father's name. And
Father
maybe we
Archeron.
never will. Do you think his name is last name is Sorrengail? No, he took her last name for
He
sure.
took hers, I bet, yeah. Or maybe
What?
he kept his own name and she just totally didn't change
Yeah,
hers
they didn't even
because
hyphenate. Um,
yeah, she'd like be so fucking for real.
I'm not making it.
Um,
Sorrengail lines forever. But yeah, those were our main hosts. We do
yeah,
have
and there's
like
a
some
lot of
other side
others.
characters and
Yeah, and they matter, but like,
like
you
Imogen
know.
was really cool. I liked her a lot. She's very
Hmm.
scary.
She is. I
Um,
love her.
I love
And
her a lot.
Riddick and
Sawyer and Garrick
yeah.
and Bodie and
Oh yes,
we
yes,
could
yes.
talk all day about the side characters and the professors. I
And
think
Jack
the
and his little
professors are very
posse.
we yeah, and then got Jack
Yeah.
Harlow. He's worth noting.
Yeah, he's important to the story, but he sucks ass. The
I hope
professors
he
are cool.
doesn't rest in peace.
Yeah, I hope he rests in pepperonis instead.
Yeah.
Let's that was so stupid.
Shut up.
Let's talk about our thoughts and concerns.
Okay.
I, on my second read through, counted how many times Dane touches Violet's face. And
Ah!
it is a total of 7 times that I counted. There are some really like notably important ones.
Yeah.
So I think the most notable is the morning after Violet sees all of the cadets with the rebellion relics on them gathering in the woods, he touches her face the next morning. So he for sure
Mm-hmm.
knew she was keeping that from him.
Mm-hmm.
And every time that he touches her face and like takes her memories, like he does not miss a beat. He does not react. She has no clue.
Which is so scary.
Yeah, like he just like continues to act all tender and caring. Like she has no clue that and
What
you
a
know that he's
rat,
seeing some things that probably make him upset. So
right?
he does a really good job hiding it.
The
It's
betrayal
whack.
I felt when we found out, like when I put it together finally, it was the same time when Violet put it together as
Mhm.
well. I was like, oh my God, this
Because
dude,
when he first tells her about it, he says, I have to touch their temples. Like he makes it sound like it's such a
like specific.
specific touch, but he cups her face and he'll cup her cheek. And so his fingers would be resting on her temple.
And she probably doesn't realize that because it's not like when I think of
Yeah.
it, like I'm thinking of full on
Yeah,
like
you think like
hands
what people look
directly
like
on.
when they're mind reading, like on each
Yes.
temple. But yeah, no, he'll cup like her cheeks or both of them, cup her face. And so he's just holding her face, but he's touching her temples.
Ugh, what a skis. One thing I really did like were the quotes at the beginning of each chapter.
Yes.
It added so much and so little at the same time. Like just those short 3 sentences
Hmm.
were enough to not only foreshadow what was going to happen in the chapter, because that is the main purpose that they serve, but it
Yes.
also, I think, is giving us hints about what's going to
Hmm.
happen maybe in future books as well.
And on top of
Because
that, like I think it's such a quick way to introduce more world building,
yeah,
like
some
context.
history
Yeah.
of Navarre and some of the other surrounding territories. But some of them like didn't necessarily have to do with what the chapter was doing. And so when I did my second read through, I didn't write them down for this, but I did kind of take note of the ones that didn't necessarily match up because I'm like, how is this
Oh,
going to circle back
it's
in the
for the
future?
future.
Yeah.
Ah, that's cool. Another thing that I liked, and this is also on the same token, a thing that I didn't like that much. Um, First of all, I loved most of the banter, whether it was between Violet and Xaden or like Violet and Tarn, Violet and her friends. Like, I loved most of the banter. However, I would say there's definitely a ratio that, like, for every 9 enjoyable little friendly little conversations, clever little banter sessions, the 10th would be awful. For
So
lack of a better
cringy.
word, yeah, cringy. Like just embarrassing. And I was
Some
like,
of it
whoa,
some of it did feel straight out of like a Wattpad novel.
yes. And so I was kind of like, is that like from the first draft or because like some of it would be
How did
so
it make it
good,
in
like so
here?
natural. And then all of a sudden it would be like jarring.
Well, I think part of that too maybe is like the age difference that like the age that Rebecca Yarros was like shooting for. Like Violet's obviously like a very young woman. And so I felt like sometimes maybe she's just trying to be like really relatable and
Yeah.
it missed the
Like you're
mark a
bound to
little
say
bit.
something horribly awkward as a
Like
20-year-old.
something's not going to stick the way you think it's going to, and it's going to come off like really
That's
gross.
so fair. So maybe in that way it was wonderful writing.
Something that I really, really liked about this book is just like everybody just living their truest self, at
Yes.
Baz gift. Um, you can be whatever you want to, you can express yourself however you want to. It's like we're all gonna die here. You
Yes,
might as
that's so
well
true.
just
They
do
embrace it.
whatever. Yeah, and I think that was really cool how it was just very, very casual. Because I feel like sometimes like authors make like a very big deal to be like, look at all this inclusivity that I have in
Yeah.
my book, and it feels very forced. But in
Mhm.
this, it was just very subtle, and it was
It was
like just
natural,
it
yeah.
was written very well.
You can tell Rebecca Yarros is an ally. Like,
Yes.
or I mean, for all I know, she's queer herself. I have no
Yeah, I
clue
have no
anything about
clue.
her, but like what I thought was cool was yes, it wasn't in your face, like trying to be annoying about it. Like there was racial and ethnic diversity, there was gender identity diversity, sexuality
Mhm.
diversity, and it was the world and it made sense. 10 out of 10 for that
I
particular
loved it.
aspect. A couple other things that I really liked with the dragons, some moments, is when, first of all, when the saddle, Xaden makes a saddle for Violet to
So
ride
cute.
Tarn, and the fact that Tarn like allows it, so sweet. But then even further than that is the little attachment they make so that
I
Andarna can
know.
just be clipped on when she gets tired.
I just like the visual I gave myself in my head, like feet dangling,
Yeah,
like
like tongue out.
she is just having a good time.
And also what
Happy to
was
be
really
there.
sweet is how Violet came up with the idea that she could camouflage herself in mud so that she could participate in the war games. I thought that was very sweet as
It
well.
was so cute. I love Andarna.
Me too.
What a cutesy little character. The last thing that I really, really loved, and it was something that I wish more authors would have the balls to do. Kill more characters.
Yeah.
Kill off more characters. We
Mhm.
kept it funky fresh up in Basgia. Call it Baskia?
Basquiat.
Baskia. I can never say. I heard
Same.
Basgaia in the audiobook so many times that I don't think I can even pronounce it correctly at
I
this point.
know. It's been drilled into
Um,
us.
anyway, like I love that. Like
Yeah.
not one person is safe in this book.
It
And
was
it's
so
like, hell yeah,
real.
keep it going. Kill off a main character.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Honestly.
Kill a
Kill
main
Xaden.
character. Kill a main character. Do it. Do it, you
Tammy's
coward.
alone in that club.
Yeah, get him out of here. No, I just think that's awesome because, like, and I'll refer back to Sarah J. Maas in this instance because, like, in some of her novels, like she'll kill off early characters that we don't
Mhm.
really get a chance to fully like love and bond with,
Yes.
and
And
that's
it's
cool.
sad, but it doesn't
And
rip
it's
your heart
sad,
out of your chest.
but it's like Rebecca Yarros said, I'm going to do both. I'm going to kill off people we don't know. I'm going to kill off some people that we've had a little bit of time to like
Yeah.
know and love. But I'm also going to rip your heart out.
Well, I
I'm
think
going to
that
rip your heart
adds
out.
such a layer of realism to this
Like,
particular
oh,
story because they emphasize how
it's like no one's safe
you
here.
never know, like, if you're gonna see the next day. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, she makes it evident that there's a
I
reason that they know that. Like,
I loved that shit. I think we
I
should
agree.
do that more.
We should. Tabby's like, kill Zayden. Kill him.
Kill
Just
him.
kill him.
Just kill him.
Yeah, because hey, Brennan's apparently alive, so let's kill someone else, right?
Yeah, like we brought one back. You got to balance the system here.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't be stealing from Malik now. So those are the things that we really liked about this book. And not to be a negative Nelly, but of course there are some things that we didn't like as well.
And with it being such a long book, there's going to be a few.
Yes. And I mean, that's one right there. It was long, so at times it felt
Rebecca,
redundant.
don't feel like we're picking on you.
Yes. No, please don't, because we do this for every book we discuss. I also have these are very specific grievances that I have to take up with. So can I just tell you a story of all the things I don't like? Is that all right
Yeah,
with you? Okay.
paint me a picture.
So this is so like this isn't even her fault, but I don't like in books when when there's a handwritten note and we try to make it look like a handwritten note. I don't like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because for me, I'm just like, that's just harder for me to read. I don't like that. Like, I can use my imagination. Just tell me it's a note. So, don't like
I
that.
kind of like it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
I
totally
kind
fine.
of do like it
I'm alone in this camp.
because I'm
Okay.
like, oh, wow, it's a note.
Yeah.
And I know it's a note
Well,
because it looks like a note.
I'm just like, you can just tell me it's a note.
But I also sometimes skip words when I read. So it's like, if someone's
I
like,
also can't read.
this is a note written by blah blah, I'm like, this is a lot of dialogue.
That's fair. So it makes it like more fun and exciting for you. It makes
Like,
it visually
no.
stimulating.
And I know, like, this is a note, and I'm reading a note, and it's not the main character talking. It is,
Okay.
in fact, somebody else.
Okay. I get that. I get the like for it. Just not my favorite. But again, not a big deal. I do have a bone to pick with this part though, because okay, let me paint you a picture. Violet is in the sparring gym. She's training with Imogen. Liam's there, Zane's there, like everyone's just hanging out. She's sparring, and Jack comes in with his little squad, and they're just like talking shit. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass when you don't have your little posse around." Blah blah blah. So Jack's talking
They
some
came in
smack.
snapping.
They
They're
came in
snapping.
snapping some West Side Story bullshit. And as Jack is trash talking, his friend just like wordlessly, he's like, "Yeah, motherfucker," just wordlessly offers him an orange slice. And Jack is like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Get that the fuck out of my face, you." I can't even say it seriously because it was just like so fucking dumb. Because the first time I read the book and that happened, I was like, "What, is he allergic to oranges?" And he literally
Was.
fucking is. And
I know,
I
she's
was like,
like, I have to organically fit in here that he is in fact allergic to oranges
but
because I actually,
what would have been organic is if they were in the fucking cafeteria. Where it would have made
hey
sense.
man, do you want an orange? Are you fucking stupid?
Bro, I was so annoyed. I thought that was the stupidest fucking thing.
I kind of
Hated
thought like
that.
the whole thing with her being like, I'm actually a master of poisons. And it's like, oh, really? Oh, are
Yeah.
you?
She's not a master of poison. She fucks it up
Oh,
multiple times.
like you could kill people.
Uh, well, yeah, like luckily she doesn't murder
He's like,
anyone
well, I
that way.
wasn't trying to murder anybody. I was just
Uh,
trying to make him sick, but
but like her timing's off, all sorts of shit. Anyway, okay.
she's actually the worst poison master on
Yeah,
earth.
and Zayden's like, "I've met better."
know, Zayden's like, hey man, I've actually been watching you just slip and shit into people's drinks. Everyone's actually seen you do it.
He's like, it's honestly so crazy. Like, what a
It's just
coincidence.
like letting her do it too. Like everyone saw,
Yeah.
but
Like, there's no way he's the only one who knew. Like, they're not all stupid. I know some of them are probably stupid. Like, you're bound to have some himbos there, but like, surely somebody else has some fucking brains. But the oranges is where I draw the line.
and then from you can just see Violet from the other side of the room when Jack's like freaking out about the orange. She's like, yeah, jot that down.
Yes,
Jot that down.
she's like, "Tarn, make a mental note for me."
Voice memo, buy
Voice
oranges.
memo. Yeah, she's like, "Alexa." Um, and then the next bone I have to pick, this has to do with the spicy scenes. This first
Oh,
one,
some of them are bad.
oh my God, this first particular issue I have, and this applies to most romantasy novels. I am going to tell you right now that we do not need, nor do we prefer, the mention of some magical contraceptive that they're using.
I'm no better than the Audible narrator right now. I'm so sorry.
Tabby caught the Audible narrator's cold from listening to it. But we don't need to hear about their contraception, especially whenever you're just making some shit up. And extra especially when it's in the middle of the scene.
I'm on the fertility. Shut up.
They were going at it. Like they may as well have already been,
You could have conceived a
going to town.
child with what had been happening here.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, like we were already pretty far along here. And she's like, "I take the fertility suppressant." Like nothing pours a bucket of cold water on me faster.
Oh, I
Um,
chose to believe you were all infertile.
and I understand this is like a realistic conversation that would maybe have to happen between two people in real life, but this is a
But this
book.
isn't real.
What's more frustrating about it is like we've already mentioned like everyone else in the dorms is going at it like rabbits. Did we have to talk about their contraception? No.
And that probably would have been the better way to like do that. I'd be like, haha, don't forget to take your fertility suppressant.
Yeah, because then it's like
Move
cute
on.
and like
And that's
kitschy.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like they are literally like, I mean, seconds away from penetration. And she is like, "I'm taking the fertility suppressant."
I'm on the pill.
And he goes, "Same." I'm not even kidding.
Literally, he said, same.
Same. And I was like, "I'm gonna bomb."
And he's like, anyway, I'm gonna stick it in you now. Like,
Yeah, that was horrible. Also, how did they break the armoire?
her bones are made of paper straws.
Yes. And I know
And
for a fact this was just from them banging up against it because they didn't mention their powers being losing control until later. So how did they do that? That doesn't make sense.
well, you know what else I like also thought was very dangerous for her just in her condition. She was like, let me just arch my back, more arch than I have ever done it before, so I can
Oh,
get this angle right. And I'm like, well, like
yeah.
you did fall and break your
Like
wrist just from like breathing earlier.
you're
It's
gonna
like,
pull something.
I don't think you should be doing that. And
No, that's so valid.
she literally was like, I arched my back so hard that I thought my joints were gonna break. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my
And then up against the
God.
armoire so hard that like the door is
It's like
splintering
maybe
around
just
you.
like ask him to like readjust,
Or like get a
perhaps.
pillow for under your hips.
Or maybe don't fuck up against your arm wall. I don't know.
That
Like
too. Yeah. Okay. So we all
that's it.
hated
That's
that.
your biggest like problem here.
Yeah. Like, and they did, he's like, oh, ironically, the only thing we didn't destroy is the bed. Fucking use it.
Use your bed, you
What's wrong with you?
dumbass.
Yeah, like maybe you should have.
Like
Maybe that should have
fuck.
been the one thing that
I
was
also
destroyed.
just like I don't know why. I hate when like people, especially in like romance books, are like in the middle of it and they like lift him up and they're like, and he lifted me like I weighed nothing. And it's
Yeah.
like, why do we have to mention that? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
it's weird. I don't
I
like
just
that.
don't like it.
Yeah. And I mean, in her case, that probably is
She does weigh nothing because she has
yeah.
bird bones, but
Uh, but we don't gotta say
like I don't care.
it. Yeah,
I
same.
don't know.
It
It
takes me
just
right
I
out
don't
of
know.
it.
The sex scenes just weren't it for me in this
They were
book.
not
And
it.
I will say, in book two, which I know you haven't read it yet, she does a phenomenal job at the romance
Oh,
part. Like,
that's good to know.
I loved what she was doing in book two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because yeah, there are
So
parts that I did not like at all
it's
in this
like
first one.
there's not a lot, I won't lie, there's not a lot of like steamy content.
Yeah.
But like
There's not a lot in the first
when
book
there
either.
is, it was so well done
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, oh my God. Like I forgot I was reading kind of like a romantasy book right now. Like
Yeah.
I was so fully invested in what was happening in that book that I was like, I don't even give a shit what they're doing. Like,
No, that gives me so much hope because it
yeah,
was rough this first
it
time around.
was very good.
Okay. I'm excited for that. Um, I do have one last bone to pick.
Yeah, go for it. Let me hear it.
I was bothered that this is like the night of like that reunification day ball or
Which was
whatever.
such a weird thing to do anyway.
Yeah, this is one of the scenes actually that I'm like we could have done without and the book would have been the same.
Yeah.
Um Zayden's obviously upset. It's a bad day for him, brings up bad memories, so he's out on the parapet and Violet's like, I'm gonna go out there because I am in love with Zayden Ryerson. And I was like, whoa.
Call his name from the side. You know, you go out there.
Well, that, but also I was like, how did we, because at this point, they're basically mortal enemies. They,
Well,
have some chemistry. They fucked once.
and it's like she had given an ultimatum and was like, if you're not all in, like you're not getting any. And then
Yeah.
like broke so easy.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm
Folded
in
like a
love.
lawn chair.
Yeah. And I mean, from what I understand, he's very hot, so I get it.
But still,
But
he's a man.
yeah, I did not like that. And not only that, but then, okay, so she's like, I am in love. I had this major realization. I am in love with this man. But then the second that, the Griffin writers, it's clear that he is doing something with them, she is like, I don't know you at all.
You
It was
never
all a lie.
did, girl.
Yeah, my love, it wasn't real. And I'm like, girl, like, do you need to be on a mood stabilizer?
Because you ain't barely know him.
Yeah.
No? Like,
So not only was it like too much to be like, I'm in love, but then the whole like end of the book when she's like, no, I can never trust you again.
well, and like the thing was too, was like he made it very clear from the beginning. He is like, yeah, I don't trust you all that
Yes.
much at the beginning. And like did slowly start to trust her, but like told her multiple times, like, I can't tell you everything.
Yeah.
And then she was like shocked Pikachu at the end.
Whenever he
When
didn't
he
tell her
was
everything.
like, oh yeah, here's some of the things I didn't tell you. And she's like, you didn't tell me. He's like, yeah, we did already discuss that.
Yeah. And this kind of goes back to she's kind of dumb. And a
just
lot of
think
it is
she
probably
is
just
like
naivety.
delusional.
She has never had to like deal with it before and like with things this serious before. Obviously, she was pretty sheltered as a child. Um,
Yeah.
and so I think it's kind of flabbergasting for her to be like, oh, sometimes you have to keep secrets because it's a life or death situation. Like
Well,
she
and
doesn't get that.
I kind of think like the whole thing too, like it makes sense, like with this the scribe quadrant and whatnot, like that is supposed to show like her naivety and like her
Hmm.
going into the writer's quadrant and stuff like that, like was her like opening the door to like a whole brand new world. And so like basically like she is just a naive little girl because she
Yeah.
was gonna live a quiet and boring life in the
Yeah,
scribe
still very
quadrant,
sheltered
not knowing
and
anything. And
yeah.
yeah.
Or thinking that she knew everything there was to know, but it turns out that a bunch of history is being withheld from books. So it's like, no, you only know what they're allowing you to know.
It's a
So,
brave new world out there.
yeah, I think it was just shocking for her. And obviously, she is a young woman. She's only 20 years old. So, like, I'm not surprised by her big emotions and her
Yeah, she is
overreactions.
very young.
Yeah, like she literally is like fresh into adulthood. So like it makes sense for her age, but it was just kind of annoying to read just being older, I think. But then when you look at it from that perspective
Hmm.
of she is 20, it's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So we're bringing back this little thing called Theory Corner, and it's probably my favorite thing that we do on here, especially with books like this. And I think it's going to be a good series to have a little Theory Corner
Oh,
on
yeah.
as well. But a lot of my theories that I have here are going to be really generic because I don't want to give anything away in book two. So a lot of things that I noticed here in the book is that there's a lot of repetition and like specific words or memories that they circled back to quite a bit. And so I feel like whenever an author does that, it's because they are going to come into play maybe later on. It doesn't have to be in the next book, but later on in the series. One on here, I'm going to come back to like this big one here, is like with Violet's hair. So throughout
Mm-hmm.
the book, like they made a very big deal about like her hair and how it kind of faded to gray at the ends. Like it was like bleached of color. It looked like lifeless almost. And like it was styled into a crown a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like the repetition of crown is kind of like a key thing here. It's like, well, why a crown? Like, why is it a coronet type thing?
Mm.
But also just like the color of it. When you think of like the venom suck like the life out of the earth and leave it like bleached of color. And so a lot of people theorize that she's somehow connected to the venom.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's really sure how. I kind of think maybe it's her mom.
Yeah.
Because her dad like had told that story, or her dad had told her the story of the venom in like the book of like fairy tales and whatever. And her mom had come home one night with her eyes like bloodshot, and she was like freaked out because she thought her mom was venom. And I thought that was just such a weird story to kind of like reflect back on.
Mm-hmm.
Like what was like the purpose of that story, you know? And so I feel like that's connected somehow. And I'm sure we're gonna find out later on in the books too.
Yeah.
Because she wouldn't say it so many times without it being important. And then like the gods are mentioned multiple times in the book. And so I something I've just noticed like in any like fantasy book is that anytime like gods are mentioned, like they're gonna come into play later.
Yeah, like they are
Um,
probably actually real in the universe.
Otherwise, like they would have just mentioned them in passing. They probably wouldn't have been so specific, like with their names and what they do, like where they're from.
Yes. And the like
Um,
rituals that you do in their
yes.
honor.
And so I do think whether or not like the gods become like tangible beings or if they just like influence the way things like are done, like in the books, I do think they're going to be really, really important.
Hmm. It is interesting too because Tarn is like, we don't care about your puny human gods. So
No, it's
I'm
like
kind
there's
of
other
like,
gods,
yeah, like,
or
do
it's
you
like
have your own or
were their gods actually just like really powerful like
like
wielders or
people
something
with
like that?
magic? Yeah,
Yeah,
who knows?
I don't know. But I do think like Zayden's like father was mentioned a lot, but we still don't really know a ton about him or like the rebel like we know the basics of like why the rebels started and like what they were fighting against, but I'm more interested in like Xaden's family specifically.
Yeah.
It's like why was Fenn the leader and like what made him so important
Yeah.
and like how did he like have all this like backing for him basically.
Yeah.
Like obviously he's very charismatic and whatever, and they came from like a well-off family, but like what kick-started the rebellion?
Exactly.
I would love to know more about that. I think there's a lot of secrets surrounding it. And then obviously Brennan's alive, and like they made a really big deal about like burning his stuff and like getting
Yeah,
rid of
that's
everything.
awkward now.
Yeah, and it's like, well, now he doesn't have any clothes. But they didn't really talk about like her father and like what happened to his stuff. Like,
yeah, his heart just gave out. Like,
yeah,
how
it's
old
like,
was
well, that
he?
seems like weird, right?
50? Yeah, like,
He died of a broken heart. He
mm-hmm.
has two other children.
That's
He
suspicious.
has two other children.
Yeah, and a wife.
And it's like, who
He's
was
like,
the
no, sorry,
favorite
can't go on
here?
anymore.
Yeah, I'm really broken hearted over my only son. Like,
He's the
okay.
only person in my life.
Sexist? Yeah, and so
Yeah,
I just think that's
honestly,
like
cancel Papa Sorrengail.
he's done.
Yeah.
You're done. I think it's very suspicious.
It
And he
is.
died under suspicious circumstances.
Yeah,
And
and
like, did
especially
anyone
because,
see it?
well, I don't know, but you're like, it's suspicious, and we know that he had a bunch of knowledge that he should not
Yeah.
have.
It's
That's
like someone
forbidden.
killed him.
Yeah.
Someone killed
So
him. Or is
maybe
he
it
actually
was
dead?
Lilith.
Or is he even dead? Like, did he fake his death?
Who
No,
knows?
did
'Cause
anyone find his body? Because they don't talk about burning him.
yeah. Ooh, yeah, I don't know.
So there's a lot of inconsistencies surrounding his death, and
Yeah,
I do think that's going to play a huge role in the next few books.
for sure. Related to like Brennan though. So originally we thought that Brennan had died at the uprising. We thought that he was killed by Fen Ryerson. That is what Violet's been told, and that's kind of what the public believes to be the truth. But Professor Kaori, the dragon professor, is talking about Tarn's previous rider named Naolin, and Naolin supposedly burned out and died from attempting to resurrect Brennan. So, what's kind of interesting about that is like we later find out, oh, Brennan actually is alive. So it's like, okay, was he successfully resurrected?
Right.
Or was that all complete bullshit? And like, if it is bullshit, like what actually was the cause of Naolin's death? And this is Tarn's previous writer, so Tarn
right.
knows for sure.
So my theory on that is that he was successfully resurrected, but the only way to do that was for Naolin to take magic from the earth and become Venom. And when he became Venom, it cut the bond that he had with Tarn.
Oh,
and so I
that would
don't
be
know
heartbreaking for Tarn.
if Naolin's alive or if he truly did die when he took magic or when he tried to resurrect Brennan, or if they like kind of traded a life for a life type thing.
And then, but what makes Brennan so special that he was like, I have to like basically forfeit my life to save
Were
his?
they lovers?
Maybe.
Oh God,
Maybe.
that'd be cute.
Yeah, I kind of was thinking, I just assumed it wasn't like a personal connection, but something related to like the rebellion effort.
Maybe.
But I kind of like your,
Or maybe
he's just like, no, I won't live without you.
Or it's like, what if all of the Sorrengail children are like really special?
Or they are actually royalty of some sort.
Yeah, like
what
are they connected?
What do we know about the king?
Not a lot in this book.
Yeah. Because it's like, are the Sorrengails like the actual true heirs?
Well, and what I was also kind of thinking is that, like you said, Violet's like so much younger than the other two. What if like her father's not her real father?
Oh my God.
And that's why like she's got something weird going on with her hair. I don't know. Something happened with her birth or conception that caused her to have these defects.
Yeah. Yeah. The story that Violet understands is that her mom was sick while she was pregnant. But it's like,
she sick as she's becoming Venom?
She is Venom.
Yeah. So it's like, I
secretly.
don't really believe that.
Venin rhymes with Brennan. It goes all the way to the top.
And it's all the way to the top. We cracked the code.
You heard it here
You
first,
don't even need
folks.
to write the rest of these books.
Yeah, we figured it out.
I already
Brennan
did it
is
for you.
Venin. The end.
The end. But yeah, so I don't know. I think everyone is alive till proven otherwise.
Yeah, apparently.
And
In this universe.
we can do whatever we want,
Yeah, there
basically.
are no laws.
There's no rules.
Yeah.
It's Rebecca's world, and we're
Don't
just
say that in
living
front
in
of
it.
Dane. He will shit himself. But
Yeah.
there are no
The
rules.
rules are gone. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't even know what to expect from the next few books. I read the second one. Like I said, it's phenomenal. I am so excited to talk about it
Ooh, me too.
on our next full-length episode. But Rebecca, I don't know. She hasn't even started writing some of these books. She said she hasn't even mapped it all the way out yet. So
Okay.
we're all just flying by the seat of our pants here.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
I love that.
We do have just a couple little discussion points. So, we talked about like the Gallic pronunciation situation. So this was originally, I don't know if this is the first person to point it out on TikTok, but someone who happened to get pretty popular from pointing this out. I have no idea how to pronounce her username.
You know, we probably should have listened to that video.
Well, I'm not sure if she ever pronounces that, but if you just search, yeah, I'll spell it for you. So it's at CeartGuleabhar. But if you just search like Fourth Wing pronunciation, she'll pop up for you. She's got a little playlist about this, and just some quick ones that for sure are rooted in true Scottish Gaelic that have an actual pronunciation are Tarn, Amisher, Chinye, which is the one that they call tiny.
Tiny, which is absolutely absurd.
That's absurd. And Basquiat, as in the city.
Not Basquiat.
So, yeah. So those do have like actual legitimate pronunciations. And
there were some other dragons, but we haven't met them yet. So
yeah, or we either haven't met them or I just kind of focused on the, I don't know. I didn't watch all of them. But you get it. Like some of them are real words and they should be pronounced correctly, and some of them are actually made up by the author and can be pronounced how she wishes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like it was kind of a big deal, you know, with the mispronunciations. And I really feel like it's so important for authors to do their research.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes off as very knowledgeable, very
insensitive.
Insensitive is the word I'm looking for. Yeah. Because if you're going to take parts of a culture, you really need to make sure it's correct.
Yeah, because you're basically using it to enrich your story. And that can be done in a very respectful way, but part of that respect is actually doing your research, maybe involving someone who speaks Gaelic to help you. And I think she learned that like through this. I'm fairly certain that she
has apologized, and
yeah, I thought so. I wasn't 100% sure.
But
hopefully everyone who the apology was for appreciates that, because
yeah.
It wasn't really for
you know, just like in the future, it's like a simple Google search away, like on like pronunciations, or even just putting like a pronunciation key or something like that in there. Mm-hmm. Like it's that easy.
And I appreciate that as a reader, even if you're fully making up your words for your book. I would
so love a pronunciation
key. Yeah, tell me how to do it. Tell me how to say
it. My question was, what do you think made this book such a phenomenon to readers? Like, what made it so special?
That is a great question, and I have a few theories because, of course, there have been some very mainstream, popular romantasy series like over the past, few years, past decade, and I think that's amazing. I love this genre in general. But what I think set this one apart is some of the things that we mentioned that we loved about it is kind of for one, like we're talking about like bonding with dragons and stuff, which is less common, I would say, in this genre. Like usually the genres tend to lean towards like fae or, like that kind of thing, which I still love. I am not judging.
Yeah.
But I think that made this one kind of fresh. The other things that I think made it really cool are it's not like a 19-year-old girl
I was literally about to say that.
and a 500-year-old ancient
Yes,
fae.
that was one of my
It's
points.
they're all no, they're all young. They're all young and dumb and in this war college just
Yeah,
fighting for their lives
we're just
together.
children in war.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's fucked up, but it's cool in not cool. It's not cool to have children in war. You know what I'm saying?
It's
It's cool
different.
in the way that, yes, it's different from other things that we've read. And the other thing that I love is just her commitment to the bit, like killing people left and
Yeah,
right. Doesn't matter if you're attached to them or not. This is
fuck them.
war. People gonna die.
Get him out of here.
I think those are some of the things that really people enjoyed about this one, and it kind of took off for those reasons.
I will say, kind of on the flip side of this too, and I feel like it's been something that a lot of like smaller writers may have been battling quite a bit as they try to like publish their pieces. With, the development of like book talk and TikTok being more popular. I do know like a lot of influencers do post about books like this, but it really does just take one influencer to kind of spark interest, especially if it's someone who
True.
has, a large following. And so I do know a lot of people that don't care for this book and they think it's really overhyped. And I disagree with them. I think it's a very good book, but
Yeah.
I can also see how, like, if the right person hadn't posted it, maybe it would not have been as popular
Yeah.
as what it is now.
That's a good point because there have to be so many books out there that are just
Exactly.
as good, but they just
They're
aren't
not reaching the
receiving the
right
spotlight.
audience.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I agree with that. And so this just happens to be for me because I also think this is a very good book. I think it was a good one to catch the spotlight and be shared with a lot of people because obviously a lot of people enjoy it. A lot of people think
Yeah.
it's good. So,
I am also just really excited to see, the good that book talk can do for books. I feel like sometimes maybe not good pieces are overhyped and you kind
yeah,
of have
it
to
happens.
sift through it. But I do think with the trend we're seeing, like we are going to start getting really, really awesome books that may have been overlooked before that are going to be
Yeah.
given a chance. So I
Yes.
think that's cool.
I love going and just looking through people's book talk posts and looking for recommendations because there also is going to be, well, some of them, yes, are going to be recommended by lots of people because they're super
Yeah.
popular. There are some like kind of niche books you can find
You
on
so you
there.
have to
It's like,
find really niche
oh,
groups on
yeah,
there.
like I found this book. It's amazing. Not many people have reviewed it because it's not
Yes.
super popular, but I promise you it's so good. And so I just think like word of mouth is so important and
Well,
really
and
helps.
that's, something I was really, really excited to do too with like Aurora's book, for example. Like
Hmm.
it's brand new.
Yeah.
She previously was an independent author, and I hope that's one of the books that really catch on because it was really,
Yes,
really good.
it was.
And it's just stuff like this that the one right person has to listen to it, and all of a sudden it's huge.
Yeah. If any
Um,
of y'all listening to this have like a really big following, you should just hype every book that
you
you ever enjoy.
really need to hype up Aurora's book. Thank you.
Yes.
Um,
Which comes out on January 9th, by the way.
how exciting.
How
Um,
exciting.
but yeah, no, and like that was really it. Like just especially too, what you said with like the niche groups, like monster romance became really, really popular, but there was already a huge
Mhm.
following of people who were probably really, really excited to share
Yes.
some of their favorite books because
Especially
it's
because
finally,
that was kind of considered like not as popular of a genre. It was like a
well,
little
it's like
more
very like
taboo
taboo.
and yeah.
Yes.
So they were like, "Oh my God, we told you everyone it was
Like it's
good."
really
Like
good.
yeah, like so glad you joined us. But that's the other amazing thing is I think that the community in general is just excited to share the things they love with everyone and is it's not gatekeepy, gatekeepy,
Gatekeepy.
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 It's not that either. It's neither of those things. But I think that's really nice. It's like everyone in the community just wants people to read good, enjoyable things and appreciate art. And I love that.
Yeah, well, that wraps up Fourth Wing. Next week, we're going to be doing a little fan cast
I love fan casting.
of our Fourth Wing characters. And I will say, that was probably one of the hardest things we've ever had to do.
It's hard. I know we say it's hard every time, but this one was extra hard.
Truly hard.
Yeah.
And you better appreciate the work and dedication we put into these fan casts.
And don't yell at us if you don't like it.
We don't agree with some of them either.
Yeah, you're probably so right. Some of them are the wrong choice, but it's hard, okay?
We worked with what we were given.
Yeah. The week after that, we will be covering the second book in this series, Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros.
So exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait to read it. Like I said, I haven't yet. So join me in reading that. We'll talk to you next time. And as always,
let's get lit.